Thursday, the 6th of January. This is Newsround live at 5. Our top stories this afternoon. Going hungry, fears of another famine in Africa. And going nuts for Man United in Brazil. Hello, and first to a warning that 6 million people in Africa could starve because crops there have failed. Aid workers in Ethiopia say there hasn't been enough rain for food to grow. More than 10 years ago, the same thing happened, and 1 million people died of starvation in what's called a famine. The BBC's World Affairs correspondent Raghi Omar reports from Ethiopia.
Hunger is again taking hold in many parts of Ethiopia. Negaso Miley's father walked for 6 hours to bring her to the clinic. She's 3 years old but weighs less than half what she should. In their weakened condition, many children are falling prey to diarrhea and pneumonia.
Most of them have no any chance. The chance which is waiting for them is death, because there is nothing in their house or in their home.
Ethiopia says the drought is now at the emergency stage. This should be harvest time and the crops should be at their peak. But everywhere you look, the maize and sorghum, which so many people depend on, have withered and died. If the next harvest fails, it's hard to see how the people of this region will survive. The European Union and the British government are beginning to respond with food aid, but there's a long way to go. Ethiopia says at least 6 million people will need over 250,000 tons of supplies for the next 4 months. But today's crisis is not on the scale of Ethiopia's famine of 1984, when the government then forced people off their land into huge camps and then tried to keep the disaster hidden from the outside world. Crucial lessons have been learned. In Konso, villagers are building roads so the aid can get through, allowing them to stay on the land. For many Ethiopians, each day is now a struggle to survive. Only a major international response in the coming 3 months will help this country avert another humanitarian disaster.
In other top stories, many more of us have been struck down by the flu bug. According to new figures today, hospital beds are filling up with patients who've caught the illness, and the north of England has the highest number of cases. There could be even more tests on the way in English schools. The new exams in literacy and maths will be aimed at 12-year-olds, but it'll be up to schools whether you take them or not. And scientists working with a chimpanzee called Ai in Japan say the animals learn to memorize numbers. Ai puts them in the right order even after they've been covered up. Other experiments have also suggested chimps can count. It's now 6 minutes past 5. Next to what experts fear could be the worst ever disaster for Europe's seabirds. At least 100,000 have already died, and more could be poisoned after an oil tanker, the Erica, sank nearly a month ago. Strong winds since the accident have blown more oil onto the French coastline, as Matthew reports.
This thick, gooey mess is exactly what conservationists hoped they wouldn't have to deal with on the French coast. It's covered with thousands of tons of oil. It's become as thick and sticky as chewing gum. It's already almost a month since the Erica split in half, oozing oil into the sea. But it's only now that the scale of the disaster has become clear. Brutal storms that hit France over the Christmas holidays made a difficult situation far worse.
Why is this oil spill so bad?
Well, I think it's a combination of things. Basically, these birds have just been unlucky to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. That they're in large numbers because it's the winter break, and so they're all concentrating in the area where the oil spill happened. The oil is driven on these stormy winter gales onto the beaches and into the estuaries and lagoons, where there are a whole range of other birds living which don't normally ever come into contact with the sea.
Hundreds of seabirds were airlifted to a specialist animal treatment centre in Somerset to clean off the thick coat of oil that makes it impossible for them to fly. But many have died because they've already swallowed some of the poisonous sludge. And experts say the effect of the disaster won't just be felt in France. This spring there'll be fewer birds nesting off the Welsh and Irish coastlines.
And finally, Manchester United play their opening game in the World Club Championships in Brazil in 3 hours' time. They're taking on Mexican club Necaxa. Some fans are still unhappy with the team for ditching the FA Cup to chase worldwide glory, but others hope to give the Mexicans a wave goodbye in Rio de Janeiro tonight. If you believe the sports pages, Man U's players have spent more time on the beach than the pitch before their first match. But today they've been in serious training to play a little-known Mexican team, Necaxa. Of course, it's not the first time the papers have knocked the team for choosing to compete in the brand new World Club Cup instead of the English FA Cup. Even so, 400 United fans will be there to watch the game. And the team's manager wants a win to crown his men as the best footballers in the world.
When you're at the top of the tree, you have to prove yourself all the time. That's not a matter of ability, that's a matter of pride.
But the intense heat of the Brazilian summer and team captain Roy Keane's injury could make things tougher than the treble champions expected. And with £4 million prize money at stake, this is one trophy that Manchester United would happily add to their collection. Fingers crossed, eh? Now, just before we go, a quick look forward to tomorrow. Yes, it's that time of year again, our Newsround Extra series, where we take a longer look at the stories that affect your lives. And tomorrow we're giving you another chance to relive the excitement of New Year's Eve, when the world celebrated the new millennium. We find out how some of you spent the big night, and we look forward to see how your lives could change in the 21st century. So that's Newsround Extra tomorrow at 4:55, and that's it for today's programme. But to find out more on today's stories, log on to our website. I'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye.